Welcome back to Plow and Pantry and welcome to week 4 of the Pantry Challenge update. I am super excited. It's already been 4 weeks. It's been fun. This is a collaboration with Three Rivers Homestead in the Three Rivers Challenge, which I normally do a pantry challenge in February, but her challenge is a January, February, like 2-month challenge. And her rule is that you make your own rules. So if you haven't watched my first video, where I explain my rules, I'm doing $50 a week in allowance for fresh produce, fresh dairy, and any super slamming deals I want at the grocery store to keep my pantry stocked, because I don't think now is the time to just deplete everything, but I'm limiting myself to only the absolute best deals. In addition to that, I just wanted to mention, because somebody asked, in that first video with my rules, I also explained that I was doing a twist this year and that I was not going to tell my family that we were doing a pantry challenge. No one has mentioned anything yet. So far, nobody has noticed anything out of the ordinary with the substitutions I've made or the things that I've come up with to do. It just seems like business as usual around here. I do know that one of my middle daughter's friends sometimes watches the channel, so I don't know if they've watched recently and know what's going on and if they're just keeping the secret or what, but no one has given any indication that there's anything out of the ordinary in our food supply right now. So going back to our meals from the pantry this week. So Monday, January 22nd, okay, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we were still on snow days. The entire previous week was snow days, and we had half of this past week as snow days. So there was a little bit different stuff going on just because we were kind of stuck at home for a lot of it. So Monday morning for breakfast, I made a potato and ham hash with eggs, and I started out, it's like a country skillet, you know, that you would make in a cast iron skillet. You just potatoes sauteed up with onion, and I put ham in it. I have ham right now. I had ham lunch meat actually that needed to be used because they haven't been to school, so I haven't been using lunch meat. And I was making eggs for the side, and I was like, you know what would be good is if we put this potato mixture, potato ham on the bottom of a bowl and put the eggs on top and then put country gravy over everything. And I asked my only daughter, who was up at that time, hey, does that sound good? Like, just put gravy over? And she was like, why not? So we ended up really liking that, and it was delicious, and they asked to have that again in the future. For lunch that day, we had noodles with tomato sauce and butter. So I had been cleaning out my my kitchen pantry. I've not finished. I like to do like 1 or 2 shelves at a time, but I was on a shelf where I had 2 Tupperware containers that had open, like a half package each, one of rotini and one of thin spaghetti. So I just cooked those both up, and the rotini we mix with tomato sauce and butter. Sometimes we do that. It's like an easy, it's not quite spaghetti. It doesn't quite have the same flavor, even though it's tomato sauce, but it's good. It's something my mom used to make for her lunch when I was growing up, like shells or elbow macaroni and just tomato sauce and butter. And I cooked the thin spaghetti noodles for later as well. Dinner that night, we had steak, salad, and baked potatoes. We had steaks in the freezer. I get steaks, grass-fed steaks from Butcher Box, and when they come in the order that I have chosen, I don't actually get like enough steak for the whole family at one time, and so I will just save them up. After 2 or 3 months, we'll have a bunch of steak. We had salad, we had baked potatoes. We had potatoes in the kitchen that were starting to sprout, which is why we had them at breakfast and dinner. So, because I need to use those up. On Tuesday, January 23rd, we were still out on a snow day. My husband, by the way, was out of town. I'm not sure if I mentioned that, for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And so we were doing some things a little bit differently because there was only the 3 of us anyways. And we were having fun eating some things he doesn't love. Like, he doesn't love steak. He eats it, doesn't love it. So we had it while he was gone, and we enjoyed several steaks. Tuesday morning, we ditched breakfast. So my youngest made her own. I don't know what she had. I wasn't home. On Monday, the girls had dentist appointments, and one of them had cavities, so we had them filled Tuesday morning since we were out of school, and they had cancellations due to some parts of the county having more snow. We were able to get in and get her done, but because she had a cavity filled early in the morning, she did not eat before the appointment and didn't really feel like it afterwards. But for lunch, the girls made pizza quesadillas. We had flour tortillas, we had tomato sauce, and we had pepperoni and mozzarella cheese, all on hand. Wednesday, still a snow day. For breakfast that morning, I made a caprese egg bake, and that is something I make a lot in the summer. I will take the fresh cherry tomatoes that I am always like, why do I plant this many cherry tomatoes? And I'll like cut them in half, and I will bake them in an egg casserole, like your standard egg casserole, but I'll put the tomatoes and chopped up basil from the garden that's fresh and mozzarella cheese. So obviously I don't have fresh tomatoes right now in the garden, and I don't have fresh basil right now, but what I had was an open can of tomato sauce, and I have pesto in the deep freezer because I made a ton of that this summer because I had a really good basil year in the garden. And I didn't have a lot of mozzarella cheese, but I had an Italian cheese blend. And so I used the tomato sauce, the pesto, and the Italian cheese blend, same flavor profile, just a different format of each, and did the standard eggs with cream and salt and pepper, and baked it, and that was actually really good. Lunch, we had leftovers, and dinner, dinner that night, so that was Wednesday, and on Wednesdays, if you've watched previous videos, my girls go to youth group and they have dinner at youth group. Usually my husband and I go out on a date then, but he was gone out of town. So I was home alone, and I just had a salad with leftover steak on it. We made up for date night later, I'll get to that. Thursday for breakfast, we had muffins. I don't remember what type I made, and I just wrote muffins on my notes here. But that was the first day back to school, and that was an easy, quick breakfast when everyone was not used to being in the habit, because it had been legit 2 weeks since they've been in school. They made their lunches. I don't know that I ate lunch that day. Dinner that night, I made wild rice bowls when I was cleaning out the pantry, I found that I had more wild rice than I thought I did, and I was combining things into jars, and I had some that didn't fit. So I cooked that up, the wild rice, and then I had some produce I needed to use. I had delicata squash, I have sweet potatoes, I have potatoes. So I roasted those just on a sheet pan, the way I normally do. So the delicata squash, I normally do salt and pepper and garlic salt. Potatoes, pretty similar. Sweet potatoes, I actually added a little bit of cinnamon to, and roasted those. And then I'm trying to think of what else we had in those. I think I took a picture, so I'll try to put it here. I had pickled onions from the fridge. I always have those on hand because I like them on my salads. I had sliced almonds. I had a bunch of things you could put on them. Plus I pulled out salad dressings to drizzle over top, and I made a pineapple sriracha sauce with some pineapple juice from pineapple chunks was one of the options to put on there. Chopped apple as well. And I used pineapple juice from the canned pineapple and combined it with sriracha and some other things. I made like a pineapple sriracha dressing to go on those as well. They were really good. For something I made up at the last minute, they were pretty good. Friday morning breakfast. We had breakfast cookies. That is a standard in here on a school morning. Those are oats and applesauce and peanut butter and a little bit of salt. I don't remember what else is in there. Chocolate chips. I made myself burger patties for lunch. The girls' lunches at school were pretty standard. And then my daughters were both at a slumber party that night where they had dinner there. And so since my husband had been out of town on Wednesday, we decided they're gone, we'll go on a date night. So we went out that night. Saturday, breakfast. I think I made myself eggs and bacon. My husband slept in, my girls had breakfast at that slumber party. So I was the only one I was making food for. Don't remember lunch. We were probably, one of my daughters was at work. We were doing different things. Dinner though, I had gotten chicken out of the freezer and roasted it, and I got peas out of the freezer, and we had carrots in the fridge that needed to be used. And I made a chicken pot pie filling, only instead of putting it in a pot pie, I do have pie crust in my freezer, but what I wanted to do was use some of my freeze-dried mashed potatoes, so I reconstituted those. They were from September of 2022, so they were almost a year and a half old, but they were great. I just made the mashed potatoes, and then we put the chicken pot pie filling over the top of those. I believe I served those with biscuits and veggie sticks that we had on hand. So that was Saturday. Sunday. I didn't put Sunday on here. Yesterday. Okay, so yesterday was a whack day. Back in Snowmageddon, my daughter was supposed to have her end of season big regional East Tennessee swim meet, and it got moved. It was a Saturday. We don't usually do things on Sundays. It was a Saturday, but it got moved to today because it's at University of Tennessee, Knoxville. It was you know, they're busy all the time, so you can't just move a date. You have to find an open one. So it got moved to yesterday. I was up with her long before the sun came up to get over there because that's an hour away. So my husband and daughter, they spent the day here. We were over there. I was expecting, my swimmer is in high school, and they do high school early in the morning, and then they do middle school early afternoon, and then high school comes back for finals in the evening. I was expecting to go to like 10:30, 11 with my daughter there, and then maybe catch lunch in town and come home. Well, she qualified for finals, so we had to stay over there. We went out to lunch with other friends from the team that qualified for finals, went to the mall, came back, she did finals, and then by the time we got home that night, because you know, we live over an hour away and finals didn't end until almost 9 o'clock. By the time we were hungry and there wasn't any, we ended up going through the Taco Bell drive-thru on our way back into town, her and I. My husband and other daughter had gone to church and gone out with his mom for lunch, and I don't even know what they did for dinner. I didn't ask. We were so tired when we got home. It was so late. I'm still tired because I had to get up at 5 this morning. It was a long day yesterday, and it was not what I planned, but we didn't really use anything from the pantry yesterday, long story short. Some things I forgot to mention last week, the things I used that weren't for meals, but used up stuff from the pantry. And one of those was I had gotten pomegranate juice. Last December, pomegranates were on sale really good at Aldi, and I bought some and juiced them, but I didn't have time to make jelly, so I froze the juice, and last week I made jelly with that. I did make a video about that. I will link it if you're interested for the pomegranate jelly. This week, I also did get out more of that frozen corn like the previous week for the chickens. And then I also, in my pantry clean out, came across mustard seeds I had bought, and so I bought them to make Dijon mustard with, and so I made that. And I did make a video for that as well because I do can that, and it was January. So I will link that if you're interested in making your own Dijon mustard and canning it. You don't have to can it. So that brings us to the end of week 4 and our totals. So this week, grocery store. I feel like I spent more this week than previous weeks, but I still was under budget. Yes, I'm loving it. There still were not super great deals. So I went to Aldi, and I spent $26.73 at Aldi. I bought some fresh grapes, some fresh lemons for a couple different things. Lettuce, we're always using avocados because that just sounds really good to me right now. My salads, onions I was out of. I picked up a peanut butter out of habit. That's what I do when I'm there. I'll get like one more for the stash because we go through peanut butter really fast. And we are going through it right now because I'm not replenishing. I did buy ground beef too. I bought 2 pounds, and here was the deal with that. In the flyer, they had grass-fed ground beef for like $4 something a pound, which is a really good deal. And, or at least in my area for completely grass-fed beef. And when I got to the store, it was $5 something. And I was like, that's still a good deal, but it's not what I thought it was. It turns out the $4 something deal was for a family pack. We don't have those at our Aldi, so I'm not sure why it was advertised. But we don't have family packs of ground beef, especially not grass-fed ground beef. And the person I asked in the store was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Since the regular pounds were on sale, I ended up picking up 2 of those. And I think that was just part of me being used to buying things on sale because that was a good deal. I don't regret it, but it's not like a super slamming deal. So I kind of broke my rule with that one, but out of all my beef products I've been going through in the deep freezer right now, the ground beef is the one I'm starting to run low on, so I don't really regret it. Sorry, not sorry. The only other grocery money I spent this week was at my regular grocery store. I spent $5.27 on Honeycrisp apples. They were on sale for $1.49 a pound, and so I stopped in there just to get those. So that means this week I actually spent $32 even altogether, which if my $50 a week grocery budget with that, that leaves me $18, and I have been putting that like an overage that I'm allowing myself to just keep stashed in case I come across another great deal and want to buy more of it. So $18 for future weeks, which means so far year to date in the pantry challenge at the end of 4 weeks with $50 a week, I would have $200. I have spent $133.15 of that. And that means like pretty much for January. I mean, there's a couple of days left, but I've spent $133.15 for the month, pretty much, because it's been 4 weeks, which leaves me with an overage to apply next month to $66.85, which is more than a whole week's allotment that I've given myself. So I'm excited about that because that means I've been consistently under budget every week, partly because there have not been any amazing deals that have been tempting me, partly because I've just been very focused on just my list, going in for what I have to have. And in that, I have not allowed myself to, I've been like this. I think one time I actually saw something on sale and I went like this physically and turned my head. I've been very focused on just getting the things I need to get, the fresh stuff. So that is where we're at the end of week 4. Like I said, I will continue into February. I wasn't sure when I started if I would go into February. I'm definitely going into February now. I'm definitely gonna do at least another 2 weeks. I think at least 3, but I'm gonna say right now, I'm pretty sure I can do 2 weeks. I'm aiming for the whole month, but I might have to change my rules somewhere in there. It depends on what I come across. But at this moment, I am excited with how things have been going, and I am ready to just keep moving forward as is, like as if this is normal operation for us. I would love to know. I've loved hearing your guys' stories in the comments of what you have been, some of your guys' rules have been fun to me, in addition to like what you guys have been making and some good deals you found too. So I would love to, if you would continue adding those into the comments. I like hearing those stories, and I will see you next week for a week 5 update, and we'll be in a whole new month, which will be the longest that I've ever done a pantry challenge. So I will see you guys next week.